The United States Navy has shared a video of what it describes as an unsafe interaction that occurred in the Taiwan Strait. In the video, a Chinese warship can be seen passing in front of a United States destroyer in the potentially volatile waterway. This event occurred at a time when relations between the United States and China were deteriorating. The meeting took place at a time when both countries were trading blame for not holding military discussions. The two nations have been at odds with one another over a variety of issues, ranging from trade in Taiwan to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and the meeting raises the possibility of future confrontations that may quickly become out of control. According to the United States Navy, a destroyer from the United States, called the U.S. Chung Hoon, and a frigate from Canada, called the HSNC Montreal, were performing a routine crossing of the strait on Saturday, when a Chinese ship came within 150 yards, 137 meters, of the U.S. vessel by cutting in front of it. In the footage that was made available by the United States Navy late on Sunday, it is possible to make out a Chinese warship moving across the course of the Chung Hoon while the waters around it were quiet. There is no deviation in the path taken by the Chung Hoon. Due to the wind noise, it is difficult to make out the precise words that are being said. Nonetheless, a person can be heard speaking in English and appears to be transmitting a radio message to the Chinese ship. The message appears to be a warning against attempts to limit freedom of navigation. The precautions that the Chinese military has taken are fully acceptable, legitimate, professional, and safe, according to Wang Wenbin, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry. The measures taken by the Chinese military are completely safe. When asked about the video that was made public by the United States Navy on Monday, Wang responded by saying, "The United States had caused trouble and provocation first, while China dealt with it by the law and regulations afterward." Wang was speaking at a routine news conference that was being held. On Monday, Reuters reached out to the Chinese Ministry of Defense for comment, but they did not provide an instant response. The Chinese military issued a criticism to the United States and Canada late on Saturday night, accusing them of deliberately provoking risk with the unusual joint sailing. According to a military pundit from China named Song Zhongping, who spoke with Reuters, this point-blank interception demonstrated both the capabilities and courage of China's Navy. According to Song, the more intensely the United States provokes, the more strongly China will respond with countermeasures. It was the second time in recent days that something of this nature had occurred. According to the United States, on May 26, a Chinese fighter jet flew an unnecessarily aggressive maneuver near a military plane belonging to the United States as the two aircraft were flying over the South China Sea in international airspace. According to Derek Grossman, a senior defense analyst at the R&D Corporation, a U.S. think tank, it seems to me that Beijing has instructed its forces to respond more assertively against what it believes are encroaching U.S. and allied forces. By doing so, China is only increasing the chances for miscalculation, specifically ships or aircraft accidentally colliding with one another, he continued. Such a collision could then spiral into armed conflict. After having a collision in 2001 with a Chinese fighter jet, the pilot of which was killed, a U.S. surveillance plane was forced to make an emergency landing on the island of Hainan in China. On Sunday, Taiwan's Ministry of Defense referred to China's actions with the United States and Canadian ships as a provocation and stated that it was the obligation of all free and democratic countries to keep the peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. According to a statement released by the organization, any actions that increase tension and danger will not contribute to regional security. The government issued a plea to China, urging them to honor the right to unrestricted navigation. China claims that Taiwan is an integral part of its land, but the government in Taipei categorically disagrees with this assertion. Beijing has ramped up both military and political pressure on Taiwan to coerce the island into accepting its sovereignty. As part of this effort, Beijing has been conducting routine drills in the area surrounding Taiwan. There was no evidence of such an occurrence accompanying the reports that were shared on social media. However, several of the posts did cite a report that was published on Monday by China's state-run Global Times news organization. This report stated that Chinese H-6K bombers were conducting nighttime sorties encircling the island of Taiwan. According to Global Times, the bomber group had not only encircled the island of Taiwan at night, but they had also conducted far-sea exercises over the Pacific Ocean and combat patrols in the South China Sea. Both of these activities were reported by Global Times. The United States Naval Institute reports that the Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group, which consists of numerous ships that sail together in formation, is now patrolling in the South China Sea. China has asserted its sovereignty over virtually the entire South China Sea, which includes the EEZs of Vietnam and other nations in the area. When U.S. aircraft carriers travel through an area of the ocean rich in energy, they are regularly followed by warships from China. According to the United States Indo-Pacific Command, which is part of the United States Armed Forces that is responsible for monitoring the region, the aircraft was operating in international airspace when it was intercepted by a Chinese J-16 fighter jet. According to a statement released by the United States military, the Chinese pilot flew directly in front of the nose of the RC-135, forcing the U.S. aircraft to fly through its weight turbulence. According to the statement, all of the nations in the area ought to make use of international airspace in a manner that is compliant with international law. The United States nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, U.S. Ronald Reagan, is scheduled to make a call in the port city of Da Nang in central Vietnam. This visit by a United States warship to a country that was formerly an adversary in a conflict will be extremely rare. A representative for Vietnam's Ministry of Foreign Affairs was quoted as saying on Friday that the aircraft carrier will arrive in Da Nang on Sunday afternoon and remain there until June 30. This information was carried out by local media. In the 48 years that have passed since the United States withdrew its forces and the Vietnam War was officially declared over in 1975, this is only the third time that an aircraft carrier from the United States has visited Vietnam. The anticipated arrival of Ronald Reagan came at a time when the United States government was working to improve its relations with Vietnam. This development takes place against the backdrop of heightened tension, as Hanoi has been involved in several disagreements with its more populous neighbor on maritime border limits in the South China Sea. On Thursday and Friday, social media in Chinese was rife with rumors that a Chinese Air Force H-6K bomber plane flying at low altitude on June 18 had been able to approach the U.S. Ronald Reagan undetected and lock onto the vessel with its weapons radar before flying away. The rumors claimed that the plane had then been able to fly away. There was no evidence of such an occurrence accompanying the reports that were shared on social media. However, several of the posts did cite a report that was published on Monday by China's state-run Global Times news organization. This report stated that Chinese H-6K bombers were conducting nighttime sorties encircling the island of Taiwan. According to Global Times, the bomber group had not only encircled the island of Taiwan at night, but they had also conducted far-sea exercises over the Pacific Ocean and combat patrols in the South China Sea. Both of these activities were reported by Global Times. The United States Naval Institute reports that the Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group, which consists of numerous ships that sail together in formation, is now patrolling in the South China Sea. China has asserted its sovereignty over virtually the entire South China Sea, which includes the EEZs of Vietnam and other nations in the area. When U.S. aircraft carriers travel through an area of the ocean rich in energy, they are regularly followed by warships from China. During a trip over the South China Sea earlier this month, the United States government claimed that a Chinese fighter jet had engaged in an unnecessarily aggressive maneuver toward one of its planes. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.